Welcome to Sahaja Online. My name is Melanie Pundit, and I will be your instructor for this we are at the fourth week of our ongoing meditation series. It is lovely to be here with you. A few housekeeping notes for those of you that may be joining us for the first time. You will have noticed that your participant lines are muted. We can neither hear nor see you, but this is a wonderful one-way communication in which you are able to see and hear your instructor and interact through the chat and or Q&A function, and we encourage you to do so that this class can truly be catered to you, those of us that are present here today. If there are any distractions that may get in your way, we encourage you to turn them off, notify them in any which way that you will be meditating for the next 45 minutes. Our session will consist of 2 guided meditations in addition to our learning topic of this week. So we'll begin by going over the results of our poll for those of us that have joined us. Thank you so much for answering that poll. This helps us to get to know who we have with us. So from what we can see, and you should see on your screen now, for those of you that are live, we have a majority of returnees. Those have meditated with us before here at Sahaja Online. We also have a first-timer, at least some first-timers and some that have just kind of gotten started. This is a wonderful series for all levels, so welcome one and all. If there is anything in this class that is a little bit advanced or you feel you need to catch up, there are many ways to catch up, whether it be through watching videos on the YouTube channel or on Sahaja Online reading or watching videos or attending other classes. So thank you so much for joining. And we are all here for the right reasons, whether it be spirituality, physical relaxation. There is just so much to gain from Sahaja, and it's really lovely to be able to be the instrument to be able to work with you here today. So our 9-week series, as mentioned, we are at our 4th week. We've gone over the beginnings, the self-realization, experience of awakening, our own energy, the overview of our subtle system, our chakras, our 3 channels, and now we're getting into the specifics. Last week we talked about the first energy center, and we're now getting into the 2nd chakra. So we'll be spending a few minutes talking about that 2nd energy center in order to get us a bit deep into understanding what are the different aspects of each one of our energy centers. Each one of our 7 energy centers governs a physical, mental, spiritual, and emotional aspect of our being. As we meditate, as our inner energy is awakened from that dormant state and rises up, that process of meditation, which we just get better and better at, is a process in which that inner energy is working to establish balance, to cleanse, to purify, and to establish and strengthen the inherent qualities of each one of our energy centers on so many different levels. So let's talk about this one in specific, our 2nd energy center, which is at the level of the hips, just above the sacrum bone area. Our 2nd energy center, as each one of our energy centers has a Sanskrit word that corresponds to it, the word for this energy center is Swadhisthana. The Swadhisthana chakra is the center of our creativity and our knowledge, in brief, but we'll go a little bit more into detail with that. We feel each one of our energy centers, the reflection of what's happening within us on our fingers. We can also feel the reflection on our feet. So we'll talk about on the hands as we meditate, as we get deeper and deeper, that awareness, that vibratory sensitivity in which we are able to feel those sensations. It develops, it increases, and we can start to become more aware of actually what's happening within us by observing that reflection on the hand. So the 2nd energy center can be felt on the thumbs. We'll talk briefly about the different aspects of each one of our energy centers, the element in nature that it corresponds to. Our 2nd energy center corresponds to fire. This aspect, learning about the elements, the color, the number of petals of each one of our energy centers, it's fascinating, it's wonderful. As we go deeper and deeper, we will learn how those correlate to our practice of meditation. In the beginning, it's not so important to neither memorize or understand the intention of why each energy center corresponds to these aspects, but it kind of adds an ingredient into our experience. And as we get deeper into the actual, real, living, visceral experiment of meditation, we'll start to understand why these elements, these colors, this number of petals correspond. So our second energy center corresponds with fire. It is the color yellow, and it governs on the physical level our liver, our kidney, our spleen, and our pancreas. The qualities of our Swadhisthana chakra, our creativity, as mentioned earlier, that source, that connection to the source of creativity, to the source of pure knowledge, as these qualities develop, as the ability to not only feel creative, the quality of also being able to appreciate creativity or the appreciation of beauty and aesthetics. Our source of inspiration is within. And so as the Swadhisthana chakra, the second energy center, gets purified, gets cleansed, gets strengthened, our source to inspiration is also awakened. And so we are able to be more connected with that source, which enables us to be inspired, to create, to have ideas. And so that source of pure knowledge, that knowledge which connects us all, which is undebatable, that source of truth, that is an aspect which is connected with our second energy center. It's also a very important area within us because it represents our pure attention. So we think about our attention or our focus, and in our modern day society, especially in Western culture, for those of us that are in a very high-paced, movement-oriented, planning, futuristic-oriented lifestyle, that lifestyle is incredibly draining on our power of attention, on our power of focus, especially in the digital age today, as we are bombarded, stimulated with sounds, ideas, demands, expectations, reminders. Those stimuli are constantly drawing upon our power of attention and fragmenting it. And so rather than being able to have a pure, focused concentration, we develop a very frazzled attention, unable to focus on one thing, jumping from one thing to another, and unable to devote ourselves fully to that task at hand. When this second energy center gets purified, it develops our ability to focus, our pure attention, so that even in that age of bombardment, of increased stimuli, where we are constantly being attacked and called upon at every level, we are able to pass through that busy forest of noise, of ideas, of responsibility, and focus on that which we have chosen to put our attention on right here, right now. It goes very much in line with our ability to meditate. We are becoming better and better meditators because we are strengthening our attention, our ability to focus. And in meditation, that focusing power is practiced in how we are focusing our attention in the present moment. The second energy center, in that it represents our connection to pure knowledge. It also represents our ability to develop, to manifest the connection to spiritual knowledge as well. If our Swadhisthana chakra is not in a balanced state, we will find that we have difficulty meditating. We don't have good focus. We're unable to settle down. We feel anxious, nervous, again, that fragmented attention. We may be uninspired. We may have difficulty with any level of creativity, creative thought. not able to generate ideas, just stuck in that zone of not knowing what to do and not having that source of inspiration. We also, as the second energy center is connected with our right channel, as you can see here, that yellow channel, that imbalance that is created when our second center is not in a balanced state can lead to insomnia or various problems which can manifest on the right side. However, through meditation, through the practice of just awakening that inner energy and meditating through the Sahaja technique, our inner energy cleansing and balancing and nourishing our inner energy centers, the manifestation of those qualities happen. And so what we find is that we establish within us pure attention, the ability to be absolutely focused in our concentration, not neglecting what we are responsible for, but able to focus fully at one thing at a time. We're connected to the source of creativity. It just manifests, it blossoms within us, and of course that access to inspiration. It's a wonderful experience to walk that walk and to experience how simply through meditating, devoting that nourished inner spring of self, that we are able to manifest incredibly beneficial aspects and qualities to a successful life. On the medical level, the second energy center corresponds with our aortic plexus. Each one of our energy centers corresponds with the medical plexi within us. And so that's our overview of the second energy center for today. There's so much more, and I encourage you to look more at Sahaja online. We've got great information on each one of our energy centers to understand what's happening, but most of all, to get deep into the practice of meditation so that you can actually observe the state of your energy centers rather than learning them and understanding them, but experiencing if your energy centers are in a balanced state and what to do to help them get into that balanced state so that we can truly experience the benefits. So we'll be taking advantage of some simple gestures and affirmations using our right hand. Various levels I will be guiding us through. There's nothing that we need to memorize or worry about, especially not at all being worried about doing something wrong, as I will be guiding us through. Our intention is that we are helping to cleanse our inner energy centers. That is the purpose of these gestures, focusing on our energy centers and also cleansing them by expressing the pure qualities or releasing those negative baggage that are hanging on to our different energy centers. In our meditation, the Sahaja technique is about experiencing, realizing the ability to be thoughtlessly aware in this present moment where there is nothing to think about, but yet completely aware. To do that, we are focusing our attention and suspending our thoughts. And it's nothing that you can think about doing. It's an experience that can only be experienced. And so we'll be getting into that today, directing our attention up and over the top of the head, focusing not in the future, not in the past, where all of our thoughts reside, but right here, right now, in this present moment. I think we may have had a question that quickly came up. Let me take a peek and see if there's something. Okay, that's a good question. Why does the right channel start from the second energy center and not the first energy center? This energy system is based on the ultimate ancient history of our energy system within us. This is how it was created. It's almost like asking why our body is created in the way in which it's created. What we can focus on is how perfect that creation is and how the second energy center connects with that right channel. So when it is in a balanced state, it enables our right channel, which is connected with our future, to be in a balanced state. And when it is in an imbalanced state, that when our second energy center gets out of whack, gets overused, when we are focusing too much on the future, frazzling our attention, feeling nervous, feeling anxious, because we're taking too much upon ourselves and not focusing on one thing at a time, that generates heat, which can ultimately spread and affect within our right energy channel. And so that fire, again, the element within, connected with our second energy center, The antidote to which is to cool down that right energy channel, to cool down our second energy channel when it gets into an imbalanced state. So that's a great question. Let's get right on into our guided meditation. Try not to think just for these moments of meditation so that we can get really ultimately perfect at meditating, which is our goal. So we can turn off any notifications that might be getting in our way. We can take off glasses, turn off sounds. Our home position is palms open on our laps, fingertips apart. Palms open on our laps with our eyes closed. And our focus is going within. We are ultimately working to turn our attention away from the past and the future, from our mind, from all of those ways in which we get distracted from the here and the now. And bring our focus within and start to observe what happens when we bring our complete attention into this present moment. We can begin by focusing at the base of the spine, the triangular bone at the base of the spine, the sacrum bone, where our sacred inner energy resides. As our meditation works most efficiently with that awakening of our inner energy center, our desire that she rises up from that dormant state is truly the beginning. And so even if we are just giving this meditation a scientific chance, letting that experiment manifest, our power of desire, our want, that it actualizes, is a key ingredient to actually experiencing the benefit and the full experience. So let's simply just want. Expressing that desire within, that our inner energy rises up from the base of the spine to the top of the head. We can raise our hand from the base of the spine to the top of the head, cupping our hand in front of us, letting our hand be a reflection of our desire, that our inner energy rises up from the base of the spine to the top of the head, not simply a movement of the hand, but an expression of our desire. Slowly rising up from the base of the spine to the top of the head. And when our hand reaches the top of the head, we can place the center of the palm right on the fontanelle bone area, center of the palm right on the crown of the head, stretching our fingertips, applying gentle pressure, gently rotating that topmost point of the scalp, that point where our seventh energy center resides. By pressing and rotating this area, we are again expressing our desire that our inner energy not only rise up, but ultimately culminate at the crown of the head, that happening known as self-realization. I want to experience my self-realization, or I want to deepen my experience of self-realization. Then slowly let our hand rise up, slowly above the top of the head, focusing on the experience, focusing on what we can feel on the palm of the hand as we slowly raise it up and explore that area above the top of the head, perhaps close to the top of the head, or maybe even farther above, slowly moving our hand up and down on that axis above the top of the head to observe what might be felt. And let's keep our focus there. As we return our hand back to the lap, see if we are able to sustain our focus above the top of the head. This present moment. No thought matters right now. Neither the past nor the future are relevant while we meditate. Taking that power of our attention, our focus, our concentration, and directing it to this present moment. Becoming increasingly unaware of anything except for what's happening right here, right now. And let's help cleanse a few of our energy centers as we get into that meditative state. We'll start by taking our right hand and placing it at the lower part of the stomach on the left side. The right hand is just over the left hip. Right hand at the lower part of the stomach on the left side. This is the area connected with our pure knowledge, our second energy center. In order to help cleanse this energy center, we express our desire that that pure knowledge is established within. I want to experience pure knowledge. I want to be connected with that source of pure knowledge. Without thinking about it, without analyzing it, just getting into that purity of experience without thought. Bring our hand up to the upper part of the stomach on the left side, right hand on the left side of the stomach. This area is connected with that recognition that we are our own teachers. If we become connected with the source of knowledge, then we can walk that path. Observe that light shining, guiding us in the spirit of truth and pure knowledge, which supports our evolution. I want not only to connect with that source of pure knowledge, but I am my own teacher. I am my own guru. That knowledge is within, so therefore I am my own teacher. Let's bring our right hand up to the heart, right hand on the left side of the heart. Establishing the quality of the heart, which is our connection with our pure self. Ultimately, we are neither defined by our body, nor our mind, nor our ego or superego. Ultimately, I am the pure spirit. Silently from our hearts, I am the pure spirit. I am not this body. I am not this mind. These superficial constructions do not define me. I truly am the pure spirit. Right hand at the left side of the neck, right hand, the left side of the neck, turn our head to the right. Cleanse this fifth energy center on the left side by letting go of any guilt. Connected to our past, I am not guilty. Blaming myself will not resolve what has already happened. I am not guilty for anything at all. Deeply expressing from the heart, not in a mechanical way. We'll then bring our right hand up to the forehead, right hand across the forehead, clearing our sixth energy center through the power of forgiveness. Focusing deeply into this present moment. I completely forgive everyone. And I forgive myself. Without exception, I forgive everyone. And I forgive myself. And finally, up to the crown of the head once again, giving that fontanelle bone area, the topmost point at the crown of the head, a gentle massage with the center of the palm. Gently pressing and rotating, feeling that power of attention culminate at the point where the hand meets the head. Focusing on that point in between the hand and the head. And then as our hand slowly rises up, letting that focus expand into the space above the top of the head. As we observe with our hand any sensations we feel in that space slightly above or farther above the top of the head. Some of us may feel that reflection of the happening close to the head, and some of us might feel it farther above. Without thinking, just focusing on that space as we return our hand back to our lap. Palms open on our laps, our focus fully established, up and over the top of the head. And let's maintain that state of meditation for a minute or so, not getting tempted into thought, but deeply diving into this present moment. Once our attention reaches the top of the head and slightly above, this is the state we want to extend. We want to let that experience, once we are established in the state of thoughtless awareness, not thinking or reacting to the past or the future. We want that state to extend. So when we meditate on our own, or if you are watching this video archived, this is a wonderful time to pause the video for those of us that are not live and let this state extend. We can raise our hands up off of our lap and observe what we're feeling in the palms of the hands, on the fingertips or the centers of the palms. What can we feel in the palms of the hands or on the fingertips without analyzing or forcing it in any way? And what can we feel over the top of the head as we hold our hand once again over the crown of the head? What experience do we have observing close to the top of the head? What do we feel farther above? While in that state of thoughtless awareness, and we can switch hands to compare that observation. What do we feel with the right hand? What do we feel with the left? Either close to or farther above the top of the head. Let's keep our attention over the top of the head as we slowly bring our hands back down to our home position, palms open on our laps, slowly bringing our meditation to an end and opening our eyes. Wonderful. Let's take a look at what our experience was. A few questions are coming on your screen for those of us joining live. Let's take a minute and answer those questions. So take a look at what our experience was. Did we feel nothing at all? Did we observe the byproducts of meditation, such as less thoughts, feeling calmer, able to focus on the present moment, feeling more relaxed? And on the tangible, visceral level, did we feel anything at all? Maybe nothing, maybe perhaps something, or are we able to recognize that we felt the movement of energy, maybe some warmth or pressure, tingling sensations, cool or breeze-like sensations? So thanks for taking a minute and answering those few questions, and we'll take a look at those answers as they come in. Wonderful. Great. All right, so let's look at our responses collectively. Those answers are on your screen now. Most of us feeling calmer. So that's a wonderful byproduct of meditation. As our energy rises up, we will simply feel more relaxed because we are out of that right side, that active thinking, planning, stress-inducing state. And so coming into the center with our attention is going to make us feel calmer. As our attention rises above the mind, we feel less thoughts, and we become able to focus on the present moment, which was challenging for some of us. It does take practice because what we're good at is thinking about the past, analyzing the past, and trying to predict the future. So meditation is training ourselves to pause those two activities. They're not necessarily relevant while we are meditating. They are not relevant. When we are meditating, we can put all of that aside. We don't have to worry about the past. We don't have to worry about the future. That empowers us to start to experience our power of focusing in the present moment. For the visceral observations, most of us experienced the cool breeze-like sensations on the hands or the head, feeling some tingling, some warmth, some pressure, some movement of energy, some not sure. It just takes practice in order to know what we're feeling and what we're not. So just a bit of practice as our inner energy is rising up, that movement being reflected on our hands, proving it to ourselves through a repetition of the experiment, different scenarios, different environments, what happens when we are in a warmer place, in a cooler place, when there's an air conditioner on, when there's not an air conditioner on, whatever it may be, what do we feel on our hands? What do we feel on the top of the head? So we'll get into our second meditation, trying to observe a little bit more on our hands and seeing if we can recognize specifically on any of our fingers in specific. So again, back to our home position before we get too much mental thinking about our process. Palms open on our laps, fingertips apart from each other, eyes closed, focused up and above the top of the head. If we want to give our meditation the ultimate ability to work, what we must do is get out of the driver's seat of doing, of planning, of thinking, and let that go just for these moments of meditation, to enable ourselves to fully experience this present moment. Observing our life and then getting beyond the mental level of observation, so that there is no thought whatsoever. Again, we can raise our hand from the base of the spine to the top of the head, guiding our attention above the mind, up and over the top of the head. No thought matters right now. And as our hand reaches the top of the head, observing what sensations we can feel close to or farther above the top of the head, as we focus on the experience, we become entrenched into that awareness. Rather than focusing on thought, responding to thought, entertaining thought, we are observing what happens as we meditate. As we stop analyzing and start purely experiencing this present moment, what happens when our inner energy starts to work? What do we feel on the palms of the hands and over the top of the head? So we can hold our hands in front of us, bringing our palms up off of the lap so that our hands are open in front of us, fingertips apart, and focus on what can be felt, what might be felt, what is felt in the palms of the hands, while our attention is in this present moment. This is an experiment that cannot be done if we are thinking about it, or if we are trying to understand it. That aspect, the mental process of meditation, is best done while not in meditation. We can think about it, understand it. All of that is incredibly worthwhile before we meditate or after we meditate. But while meditating, there is nothing to think about, nothing to process from the past, nothing to plan for in the future. With our focus up and over the top of the head, in the state of this present moment, thoughtlessly aware. In this gap between the past and the future, this silent, fleeting moment of the presence. While in that state, what can we feel in the palms of the hands? Tuning our attention into a very subtle experience that happens when our attention rises above the mind. Diving into this depth of experience as our inner energy rises up, deep into this meditative state. What do we feel on our fingers? What do we feel on the palms of the hands? And again, over the top of the head, let's again observe what we feel when we raise our hand up, to observe that very subtle expression, the reflection of this happening. What do we feel? Close to the top of the head, what do we feel farther above? And if we switch hands, what do we feel with the other hand? Close to the head and or farther above. Keeping our focus there as we slowly bring our hands back down to our laps, focusing above the top of the head in this present moment. We'll slowly bring our meditation to an end and once again open our eyes. Wonderful. All right. Let's look one more time at our experience. A few questions once again so we can compare our experience now to what we felt in our first meditation. Thank you so much for taking a few minutes to answer those questions once again. Did this second meditation, was it different in any way? Was it easier? Were we more challenged? It can truly go one way or the other, but for the most part, as we meditate incrementally, as our meditations build, whether they're longer in length individually or as they are more frequent, that building of the process makes it easier to get into the state of thoughtless awareness. And once we get into that state, once our attention is able to exist at that state and then become stabilized up and over the top of the head, the benefits, the experience of it becomes more obvious. And so let's look at our results again. Most of us feeling more calmer, more relaxed. Again, some of us none of us felt nothing. And that's the true experience of Sahaja. That's the most wonderful testimonial of this process, is that for the most part, we generally are all going to experience something, the benefits and or the visceral reflection of that happening. And as we practice it more and more, again, it becomes more undeniable as it is easier to get there and more undeniable. Again, some of us feeling the cool, more of us feeling warmth or pressure. So what's happening when our inner energy is rising up? It's cleansing our system. And as our system gets cleansed, again, only once we get into that state of meditation, that release of the impurities is expressed as warmth. And so letting our system clear out is an important step along the way. So feeling that warmth or pressure is part of the process, but ultimately we want to get to that state where our system has been cleansed. At each of our meditations, that warmth releases, the imbalances are flushed out, and we start to feel cooler, more even, gentle, and lighter energy on our hands and on the top of the head. So thank you so much for answering those few questions. Our homework this week is, again, just like last week. Meditating twice a day, mornings and evenings, foot soaking if we're not doing it already, feeling our vibrations, what's happening on our hands, what's happening when we're balanced, what's happening when we are in an imbalanced and a balanced state. Observing that we can get, confident that we can get into the state of thoughtless awareness, not reacting at all, whether in meditation or not. And just doing a little bit more than what we're doing already is really what it takes to get better and better. So if we're not meditating twice a day, trying to get that second meditation in. If we're not foot soaking, again, just adding one more thing to make it stronger. So we'll stick around for a few minutes for questions and answers. For those of you that have to go or are joining us on watching this as an archive, thank you for coming and looking forward to meditating with you again soon. Bye-bye.